The city was wrapped in the silence of the night, but inside Carter Medical Center, fear and anxiety loomed like a dark cloud. The hospital was renowned for its state-of-the-art facilities and cutting-edge technology, yet behind its gleaming walls lay a horrifying secret, one that could freeze anyone's blood. Dr. Nathan Carter, the esteemed owner and head surgeon of the hospital, sat in his lavish office, his fingers flipping through a stack of files. Across from him stood a group of senior doctors, their faces etched with deep concern. "We can't keep doing this, doctor." An elderly doctor finally broke the silence, his voice heavy with frustration. "It's been 3 years, and now things are spiraling out of control." Dr. Carter's eyes scanned the reports, records of every single birth at the hospital over the last 3 years. The horrifying pattern was undeniable. Every newborn's head was severed, as if something or someone was mercilessly claiming them. At first, they dismissed it as a bizarre medical anomaly, but as the same chilling event repeated itself with every delivery, panic spread through the hospital staff. "How much longer can we deceive the parents?" another doctor asked, his voice laced with guilt. "How long before the truth comes out?" Carter Medical Center wasn't just any hospital, it was the top choice for the city's elite. Politicians, CEOs, and the wealthiest families came here to welcome their children into the world. If this horrifying truth ever came to light, it would mean the end of the hospital and the ruin of every doctor involved. The administration had devised a terrible solution. Every time a newborn was found decapitated, they secretly replaced them with other infants. Most of these babies were either abandoned or acquired through illegal means. Some came from underground adoption rings, while others were simply stolen from lower-tier hospitals. But now, their solution was crumbling. The sources supplying them with infants were demanding more money and had started blackmailing them. A heavy silence filled the room, broken only by the quiet hum of the air conditioning. "Way, Dr. Carter," one of the senior doctors pleaded. "Either we put an end to this, or we find a way to fix it." Dr. Nathan Carter turned towards the large glass window, staring into the dark night outside. His voice was calm, yet unwavering. "We can't stop this. We have to find a way." Tension thickened in the air. Every doctor in the room felt the weight of the situation pressing down on them. Sweat glistened on their foreheads, their hands slightly trembling. Then, suddenly, the phone rang. Dr. Carter jolted slightly before looking down at the screen. A name flashed: Sophia, his wife. She had been overseas for the last 6 months. "Sir, we should leave now," one of the doctors muttered. The others nodded, quickly excusing themselves from the office. Within moments, the only sounds left were the quiet hum of the hospital corridors and the ringing phone in Carter's trembling hand. He took a deep breath and answered. "Hey, Nathan." Sophia's voice was warm, as cheerful as always. He tried to steady his voice, but there was an unmistakable nervousness in it. "Just 2 more months, and then you're going to be a dad." Excitement filled Sophia's tone. "I want our baby's first sight to be you, in your hospital." Dr. Carter's blood ran cold, his face drained of color. A sharp chill crawled up his spine, sweat beaded on his forehead. His fingers clenched the phone tighter, his voice dropping to a whisper. "No, Sophia. You can't come here." "What?" Sophia's voice wavered in surprise. "Nathan, are you okay?" I'm fine, but you shouldn't come back, not yet." "What's wrong?" Concern crept into her voice, but Dr. Carter remained silent. "Nathan, I know you. You're hiding something." She pressed, her tone sharp now. "Sophia, please, just trust me. Don't come back yet." And with that, he abruptly ended the call. Dr. Carter knew if his wife gave birth at his hospital, he might lose his own child. The office was silent again, save for the ticking of the clock. But for Dr. Nathan Carter, time had already run out. Nathan grabbed his car keys and left the hospital. His mind was a storm of conflicting thoughts. As he drove through the quiet streets, his grip on the steering wheel tightened. By the time he reached his house, it was already past 10. The mansion stood tall, surrounded by a well-maintained lawn, but tonight, it felt strangely lifeless. Nathan stepped out of his car and walked toward the swing in the garden. He sat down, rubbing his temples. The silence around him was deafening. "Sir, you look tense." Nathan turned his head. It was James, his housekeeper. The older man placed a steaming cup of coffee on the small table beside him. "Just work stress," Nathan muttered. James nodded but didn't press further. Nathan stared into the darkness. His thoughts kept drifting back to the hospital, to those infants, to the unspoken horrors hidden behind its pristine walls. Then, his phone buzzed. He hesitated before pulling it out of his pocket. Aaron Blake. Nathan exhaled sharply before answering. "Nathan, I've figured out a solution." Aaron's voice sounded relieved, almost excited. "What do you mean?" "I know someone. A man who deals with things like this. Paranormal stuff." Nathan scoffed, shaking his head. "Aaron, you know I don't believe in that nonsense." "You better start believing, Nathan." Aaron's voice dropped, turning serious. "Do you remember what happened 3 years ago?" Nathan stiffened. He didn't want to remember. "That night," Aaron's voice was barely above a whisper. "That thing we did, the horrible mistake we made." Nathan's fingers tightened around his phone. "That night, Aaron." "Don't talk about it," he muttered. "If we don't do something, this hospital, everything we've built, it's all going to be destroyed," Aaron snapped. "Tomorrow, I'm bringing this man to the hospital. Be ready." Before Nathan could argue, Aaron hung up. Nathan sat in silence, gripping his coffee cup. He had spent 3 years pretending that night never happened, but the past never stays buried. The next morning, Nathan sat in his office, waiting. He had barely slept. His hands trembled slightly as he reached for his coffee. A knock at the door made him jolt. Aaron walked in, followed by a tall man in his 50s. He was well-dressed, with sharp, observant eyes. There was something unsettling about him, something Nathan couldn't quite place. "Nathan, this is Professor Julian Kane," Aaron introduced. "He's an expert in occult matters." Nathan frowned. "I thought you were bringing an exorcist, not a college professor." Professor Kane smiled slightly. "The two are not so different, Doctor." Carter. He stepped toward the window and stared at the hospital building. "This place, it's tainted. The energy here is unnatural." Nathan rolled his eyes. "And what do you suggest? A ghost hunt?" Kane ignored his sarcasm. "This must be done at night, when the hospital is quiet, when the shadows are strongest. Only then will the truth reveal itself." Nathan exchanged a glance with Aaron, who nodded hesitantly. "Fine," Nathan sighed. "Tonight, we'll see if your truth even exists." But deep down, he already knew. It existed, and it was waiting for them. Midnight. They gathered in an abandoned wing of the hospital, a section that had been closed for years. The walls were covered in peeling paint, and the air smelled of dust and decay. Kane placed the brass bowl on the floor and arranged the black candles in a circle around it. "Sit," he instructed. Nathan and Aaron hesitated but obeyed. Kane lit the candles one by one, chanting in a language neither of them understood. The flames flickered unnaturally, casting eerie shadows across the walls. Then he took the vial and poured the dark liquid into the bowl. A strange, metallic scent filled the air. "Now," Kane whispered, "tell me, what really happened 3 years ago?" Nathan's body tensed. "Why does that matter?" he asked. Kane's eyes darkened. "Because whatever is haunting this place, it's tied to your past." Aaron swallowed hard. His voice was barely above a whisper. "It was a mistake, a terrible mistake." Nathan's hands curled into fists. Kane leaned forward. "Tell me everything." Nathan hesitated. Then, in a low, shaky voice, he began to speak. Her name was Lillian Hayes. Nathan's voice was heavy, as if each word weighed on him. She was young, beautiful, and full of life. She got involved with one of our friends, they had a relationship, and then she got pregnant. Aaron lowered his head. When she told him, he panicked. He refused to take responsibility. And when Lillian threatened to expose the truth, we stepped in. We assured her that we would help. But we were lying. Nathan took a deep breath. We called her to the hospital, told her everything would be fine. But when she arrived, we locked her in the basement. She screamed, begged for help, but we ignored her. Aaron's voice trembled. She was helpless. And then we did something unforgivable. Nathan's eyes dropped in shame. She fought back, tried to escape, but we didn't give her a chance. She was broken, but we didn't stop there. Aaron looked up, fear in his eyes. Then, one night, she tried to run, but she was badly injured. We could have saved her, but we didn't. Nathan's breath caught in his throat. We let her die, and then we burned her body so no evidence remained. We thought it was over, but we were wrong. As Nathan finished his story, his voice trembled. His hands were shaking. Aaron buried his face in his hands. For 3 years, they had buried the truth, but the past had never left them. Kane exhaled, closing his eyes. Now I understand. Nathan frowned. Understand what? Kane's voice was grave. She never left this place, Doctor. Carter, Lillian Hayes is still here, and she wants justice. Suddenly, the candles flickered violently. A cold wind rushed through the room, even though all the windows were shut. Then, the lights went out, and in the darkness, a whisper echoed through the room. I never left. Nathan's breath caught in his throat. Aaron's face turned pale. Kane's expression remained calm, but his hands tightened into fists. She's here, he murmured, and she's listening. Carter Medical Center trembled as if it were alive. The walls groaned under an unseen force, the air thick and suffocating. Nathan's vision blurred. A sharp ringing filled his ears. Aaron was suspended in the air, his body twisting violently. Lillian, please, Nathan shouted. A cold, bitter laughter echoed through the darkness. I begged you for mercy once too, but both of you showed me no mercy and left me and my baby to die. Aaron let out a choked gasp, his body convulsing. His eyes rolled back as a deep, crushing force squeezed the life out of him. Nathan lunged forward, too late. With a sickening crack, Aaron's neck snapped. His lifeless body dropped to the floor. Nathan staggered back, horror washing over him. This isn't justice, he whispered. Lillian's shadowy figure slowly turned toward him. Then what is? Nathan's breath hitched. The air around him turned to ice. His lungs burned as an unseen force tightened around his throat. He clawed at his neck, gasping for air. No, he wheezed. Please. His vision darkened. His body collapsed. And as his heartbeat slowed, everything faded to black. As Nathan's lifeless body hit the floor, a deep silence fell over the room. Professor Julian Kane stood motionless, his hands trembling slightly. He had seen many horrors in his life, but this was something different. He exhaled sharply and pulled a small silver talisman from his coat pocket. Lillian Hayes," he whispered, his voice steady. "Your revenge is complete. Now, let go." The air in the room trembled. Lillian's figure flickered, her rage slowly fading. Kane took a step forward. "You were wronged, but now your soul must be freed." For the first time, her hollow eyes softened, and then a final whisper escaped her lips. "I just wanted peace." A blinding white light filled the room. The hospital walls shook one last time, and then everything fell silent. Kane stood alone in the darkness, his breath heavy. He had done what he came to do. He glanced at Nathan and Aaron's lifeless bodies. Justice always finds its way. With that, he turned and walked out of the hospital, never to return. 1 week later, Carter Medical Center stood eerily silent. The rumors had spread. Dr. Nathan Carter and Dr. Aaron Blake were both found dead in an abandoned wing of the hospital. The official reports cited sudden cardiac arrest for both, but the hospital staff knew better. Something strange had happened since their deaths. For the first time in 3 years, no newborn had died. No inexplicable accidents. No shadows lurking in the hallways. The curse was gone. The hospital had been cleansed in blood. And as the nurses carried on with their night shift, a cold breeze swept through the halls. The lights flickered once, then steadied, and Carter Medical Center breathed freely once more. 1 week later, Sophia Carter arrived back in the city. She walked into Carter Medical Center, unaware of the horrors that had unfolded. A new medical team had taken over, and the hospital was fully operational again. She placed a hand on her belly, whispering to herself, "Nathan, I wish you were here." Outside, the hospital sign flickered under the city lights. Carter Medical Center had survived, but some whispers say it never truly let go of its past.